What's up, Facebook Live? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's my wife. Hello. Here's our awesome view for today. As you're tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. We are currently in Northern California, just outside of San Francisco. And I also would love to know, number two, what is 3 things you are grateful for? So number one, where you're tuning in from. You can put it right down here in the comment section. Number two, I'd love to know 3 things you are grateful for. A little bit of repetition for this. Caleb, what's up, dude? Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Welcome, 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 Caleb and everyone else. As you're tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know 3 things you're grateful for. All I need you to do is type it right down here in the comments section. We're going to have a conversation about what is real versus what people think. And we're going to spend a little time getting to know you and have kind of a conversation here in the room with a few friends on this exact topic. There's some really, really deep and interesting questions that we were introduced to. What was the couple's name?
Jennifer and Brian?
Yeah, Jennifer.
From Jennifer and Brian. What's their last name?
Jennifer and Brian. Jennifer Russell and Brian Franklin.
Brian Franklin and Jennifer Russell. Really interesting set of questions. My wife and I were doing them this morning and having a chat, and I thought it would make a beautiful conversation with you all because there's some really interesting questions that allowed you to kind of get to know yourself at a different level and get to know what you feel about yourself versus what other people might think about you. So that's what we're going to cover today. But as we're starting off, I'd love to know, number one, where you are turning in from, and number two, what are 3 things you're grateful for? Caleb says, I hope to meet you in person soon. Me too, buddy.
Hi, Caleb.
My wife says hi. We're up in the San Francisco area for the next month-ish. So if you're up this area, Caleb, let us know. You come hang out. Lori from Central New York. She's grateful for her kids, comforting pets, and great friends. That's awesome.
Me too.
I am seeing this number tick up. So if you're watching and not driving, so please don't do that if you're driving, but if you're watching, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, 3 things you are grateful for. All you need to do is type it right down here. Andy, hello. Nice to see you. Caleb, what's up, dude? So let's dive into this topic. I'm sure
You didn't do what you're grateful for. Let's do what we're grateful for, too.
Okay,
Because you ask everyone else
what
to
are you
do it.
grateful
Okay.
for?
I'm super grateful.
No, hold on. Where are you tuning in from?
I'm tuning in from Novato, California, and I'm super grateful for our wonderful friends who let us stay here with them, and our gorgeous hike today. We went on such a beautiful hike, and I'm really grateful for our health and our love and our wonderful families and our friends, and that's more than 3. Your turn.
Perfect. I'm grateful for my wife and her amazing cooking and her incredible love. That's my 3. Let's see. Fadua?
That's your 3.
Hertfordshire in the UK. My 2 kids, Luis, Amelia, and my personal growth thus far. That's awesome. Well, welcome from Hertfordshire. Casa Rich, hello from Boston. Hello. Grateful for my family who sacrificed personal endeavors to get me where I am today. First college grad out of high school. Wow, congratulations. Anna, nice to see you. Hello, Jairek and Amanda from New Jersey. 3 things I'm grateful for. My husband, my mom, my life, and our tribe. That's awesome. Fabiola says, yep. Girlfriend in good health, says Casa Rich. Tyler.
Ypsilanti, what's up, Tyler? We grew up together.
What? Grateful for his wife, son, and barbecue. Damn, I like the barbecue.
Summertime in Michigan.
Gratitude for that barbecue. So, jumping in, I want to propose the first question, and then we'll kind of pass it around here and share a little about what we experience with this. So the first question of the day is, what do people think you're passionate about or interested in that in actuality you have no interest in whatsoever? So I'd be curious, and it's kind of an update of the original question, but if you were to think about this for a second, I'd love your answers down here to start the conversation. What do people think you are passionate about or interested in that in actuality you're not interested in whatsoever? So I'm going to pass this over to my beautiful wife to allow her to share her thoughts.
Dude, I'm so not prepped.
She's not prepped, so I'll start.
No, you got it?
Oh, no, she's ready. She's ready now. She cleared
Okay,
her
this
throat.
is on the fly. What I'm passionate about What I'm not, we're starting with not, what we're not passionate about.
Okay, hold on. So Caleb is from St. I'll give her a chance to think this one through. Caleb is from St. Petersburg, Florida. The technology to watch your awesome content live. Well, thank you, sir. Hitting the jackpot and being blessed with having my dad, Matt Madex, and my awesome business partners. That's awesome, Caleb. Jane says, hello. We are in Maryland right now. Well, that's awesome, Jane. Okay, we're going to try to go back to my wife now. So we're going to tune back out to our correspondent, Amanda, and see what she has to say about this topic. Amanda, are you there?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Hi, guys.
Okay, tuning into Amanda.
Okay.
What do people think that you're passionate or interested in that you're not actually passionate or interested in?
This is a hard question. I don't know what people think I'm really passionate about, but things that I'm not very passionate about might be... Oh, I don't know. Can you help me with this one?
Okay, there seems to be a loss of feed over here.
At this one. I can do. We can start. I can do the other question.
I'm sorry, Amanda. Are you tuning in?
Yeah, I can do the other question.
Okay, no problem. I'll handle this
I really
one.
don't know this one.
Our correspondent, Amanda, has tuned out for right now. We like to have a lot of fun. Let's see. Andy. Whoa, I don't even know how to say that. From Portugal, grateful for my friends' health and watch you now. Oh, that's awesome. Andy.
No, I know.
David Pascoe. Hello, J&A. Blessings from an Aussie who lives on the Gold Coast, currently in Queenstown, New Zealand, skiing with my family. You can ski? I always forget the time, the weather spots. It's awesome. Thanks for everything you provide us. Carpe diem. Awesome, David. Thank you for tuning in. So here I'll start first. Our correspondent needs a little bit of a break to think this through. So here's what I figured out. There's a lot of people, and I even caught this yesterday on this live chat, where people will make comments like, oh, something about us trying to be perfect or working so hard to do stuff perfectly. And so what's interesting is I have an odd feeling based on all the people we come across and what we do and how we do what we do and how we live and travel and all this jazz, that a lot of people think there's some ounce of me that's trying to be perfect or a perfectionist in some way, shape, or form. And in reality, I have zero interest in being perfect or a perfectionist. And I have actually a long tail track record of consistently not being perfect. I have a personality that's like ready, go, oops, aim, or ready, aim, ready, fire, aim, where I'll just do stuff out of order because I have a passion of jumping into stuff head first and then going back and going, shit, I got to figure some stuff out and kind of update it to make it better. That's my trend, but I have a hallucination that some people believe there's a perfectionist that exists somewhere in me. Now, some of my family has that, but I don't have that in any ounce of me as a human being. I had it a long time ago, but it's far gone. Let's see. James says, I think people believe I enjoy public speaking and meeting new people, but secret is I've just learned how from others. Interesting. Very interesting. So as you're watching in, the question we're talking about, and just like James shared here, I'd love to know your answer as you're watching. What's something that you have a hallucination or believe people around you think you're passionate about it or interested in it or curious about it? In actuality, there's not an ounce of who you are as a human being that even cares or is slightly interested in it. So we're going to go back live to our correspondent on the scene, Amanda, and see what she has to say about this. Amanda, are you there?
Yes. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I have my answer.
You're not talking to your correspondent's headpiece,
Yes,
though.
I am. Wait, what am I supposed to do?
Oh,
Hello.
there she is. I can hear her now. I can hear her now.
Okay.
Okay, Amanda. What do people think that you're passionate about or interested in? In actuality, you have no interest in whatsoever.
Okay. I wrote it down, and then you shared it. It's very similar to his, and mine was perfectionism. I wrote it. It's right here. And I think that, and I don't think a whole lot of people think I'm a perfectionist, but it's recently come to my attention that they think I may be. And so I just would like to clear the air. I'm not actually a perfectionist at all. But yeah, so that's one thing. And the second thing, I would back up because Jairek really explained that one very well, was marketing. I'm pretty great. I'm pretty good at it, I would say. But I'm not necessarily passionate as people would think I am. What I'm actually passionate about is helping people get their message, whether it's their company or their brand or their product, out into the world. I'm very passionate about helping them do that. On the flip side, with the marketing piece, I've been very well trained. I've had the blessing or luxury to work with really great brands and big budgets, which was a lot of fun. But what I'm not passionate about is the marketing that can kind of play with our heads a little bit and sell hopes and dreams, and that part that specifically like marketing when it comes to nutrition. There's a lot of BS out there, so it makes me not really like marketing that much, but I love to help people get their message out there, so it could easily be confused. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then the one other thing was with family, so this is more not maybe people in general, but specifically with my family, I think that they think I'm really passionate about well, I kind of am passionate about that. Okay, back to you. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Amanda. Live on the scene there, as you can tell, there are some interesting things going on with what her passions lie versus what reality says. Anyways, glad we're back now. Welcome back to the studio here.
I should work on dinner.
Dawn, nice to see you.
On Facebook Live videos.
Jane, thankful for Vera, Florida, my family, and my fur angel. Aw. So, in this thought, there's a second question. And with so many of you watching, I'd love to know your answers. James, thank you for sharing. I'd love to know your responses. In your life, in your business, and who you are and everything you're up to, what do you believe people think you're passionate about or interested in that in actuality you have no interest in whatsoever? So if you wouldn't mind answering that question. Also, as for those of you who just tuned in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from, and number two, I'd love to know 3 things you're grateful for. You can type that right down here in the comment section. The reason I ask that constantly is because science and research shows if you do 5 things a day, which is 3 gratitudes, journal something great that happened that day, random act of kindness, exercise, and meditate. If you do those 5 things each day for 21 days in a row, it can be done in 2 minutes or less.
Success.
What happens is it rewires your brain psychologically for something they call the happiness advantage. If you're not familiar with that, you can Google happiness advantage. Sean Anker, watch his TED Talk. He'll show you how doctors perform better in surgery, sales reps perform better in sales, people get hired for more and better jobs. All these amazing things happen in life when the happiness advantage is present. So when the brain is set to happiness versus neutral, stressed, or I forget what the other one, but neutral, stress, or the other thing. Basically, when you're set towards happiness, you're so much more productive and make so much more happen in your life. Therefore, I urge you to always share right down here in the comment section 3 things you're grateful for to help stimulate that happiness advantage for yourself. Let's see. Dawn says, I'm a magician. My whole career is illusions. Interesting.
Interesting.
Wait, so that's what people think you're interested in?
Oh.
Bank P, cool name. Family, friendship, and the opportunity in being my city and situation. Awesome. Marianne says, people think I'm a people person, but I'm secretly an introvert and shy. Interesting. Very nice, Mary. David says people think that because I'm so driven in my business that money is my motivator, my God, and my everything, which is just not true. Fascinating.
Amen.
Fascinating. So it's really interesting to think this stuff through. I'll give you the second question, and thank you for those of you who are participating with us. We really appreciate it. And the second question I'll throw out here is, what is it? What do people not know that you're interested or passionate about that you actually are? So what are the things in your life that you're passionate about and interested in that people don't even know you are or wouldn't never guess? And should I start on this one?
Yeah.
Or are you ready?
Oh yeah, I'll go because I'm gonna go finish dinner really quick. Okay. So, because it's a very relevant topic. There's so many things I feel. Actually, I was thinking about this and trying to narrow it down to just a few. One is something that I'm passionate about that maybe not many people know that I am. Is I would have to say equality, and like the Black Lives Matter movement, I think is something I'm very passionate about, but I'm not that vocal about. I really love to support those that are out there and doing it, so good on ya. And what else am I really passionate about? Oh, I'm really passionate about, and maybe this is obvious though, dang it. I'm very passionate about making people laugh and connect, and I don't really share that a whole ton. I have like a few side projects that I do that help people do that, but I'm really, really passionate about it. And what else? I don't know. I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve. So a lot of the things I am passionate about, people really know because I share it a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all. Thanks, guys. I'm going to go make dinner.
Let's
Thanks
see.
so much.
So, Bank says, people think I'm silly, but I'm just being silly to make their day better. Oh, that's interesting. Sylvia says, Sylvia from Sarasota, grateful for my technology, books, and friends. Awesome, Sylvia. Tanya from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Grateful for the leadership in my business, my husband, God guiding the right people into our life. I'm not a fan of making phone calls, setting appointments. I don't mind running them, but I can't stand being on the phone. Interesting. Brighten up their day. Jonathan says personal development and leadership. James says people probably don't know I'm passionate about helping animals as I used to be a dog trainer and help people communicate effectively with their canine companions. Oh, that's awesome, James. Very cool. So with this thought, the first question was, for those of you just tuning in, I realize some of you are just joining us. If you're just tuning in, the first thought is, what do people think you're passionate about or interested in? Or I'll give you the original question. What do people think you're committed to that you have no interest in whatsoever? And the second question is, what do people believe you're not committed to that you're actually really, truly committed to? And so that's the actual questions. We switched it with passion or interest. So if you want those originals, they're very, very cool. And so I'll go back to the second question for myself. Bank says, something that I do not know, science, business, and better quality for people in life. Oh, very cool. Oops. Oh, shit. Hold on, I accidentally blocked someone. Sorry, James. Oh, no. Anyone know how to unblock someone? I pressed the wrong button. Oh, no. Sorry, James. I'll figure that out in a second. I clicked the wrong button. Casa Rich says, I love mentoring people who need help, providing them with information gained through experience that can help them have an aha moment. That's awesome. Very cool. So this next piece is, James, I apologize. I will figure out how to unblock that in a second as soon as we're done here. I clicked the wrong button. Lori says, agree with the heart on sleeve, mostly me, but I would say environmental issues people don't know. Love connecting people to other people. Oh, that's awesome. So to throw out there, for me personally, something that I'm totally committed to in my life that I don't think people would guess or know is inner peace. And having that space where stuff's tranquil inside of me. And I don't know if it's because of where or who I grew up around or how life was or is, but there's a part of me that I'm so committed to having that inner peace that no matter what I'm doing or where I am, if something starts coming around me that starts to interrupt that consistently, I'll very quickly readjust it so that it's no longer an interruption or in any way messing with that inner peace. And a lot of it has to do with my mindset and how I show up. At the same time, there's some environmental factors or people factors that can kind of break that inner peace consistently. And so I'll step back and readjust how or where I'm showing up to be able to allow that to happen. Lori says, I'll tell James. Be right back. Tell James, I'm sorry about that. I literally clicked the wrong button. Something popped up and I thought I hit cancel, but I accidentally hit block. Sorry, Lori, and thank you. I'll figure out how to unblock that in just a second. Jason, passionate about seeing people I work with grow and succeed by learning how not to be afraid to fail and that greatness can come from failure. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So what's interesting about this is as you dig through these thoughts and as you consider things, yes, I walk away from negativity and protect my mind no matter what. Interesting. So as you think about these thoughts, what I'd urge you to do is think of your close circle, friends, family, community, people around you. I would urge you to ask them, again, not only once you define it for yourself, what you imagine people think, what you hallucinate or imagine people think you're committed to that you're not, and what you actually are committed to that they don't know or think about you. I would answer it first for yourself and then make it a goal in the next 24 hours to sit down with your spouse, a husband, a friend, a coworker, someone in your community, and share it with them and see if it's true that they actually think that about you, and also see if it's true that they don't realize that about you. And what's fascinating is it really opens up some very fascinating conversations with a very close community. So the whole getting to know you a little bit better, it's always worth sitting down at different times. And in relationships, if you know, my belief is when two people get together in a relationship, person A shows up and they have a whole set of rules and beliefs and guiding principles of how things should and shouldn't be. Person B shows up and they have a whole set of rules and guiding principles of how things should and shouldn't be. And when they come together, it's usually this weird storm of an experience of life trying to figure out, how do you get two separate individuals with different rules, different thoughts, different feelings, different guiding principles of how life is and should be? How do you get them to blend together in a way that's actually effective? So the analogy I use is two people show up to the game of life. One person gets handed the rules to Monopoly. The other person's handed the rules to the, let's say Clue. And the person who has the rule book and Clue opens it and says, okay, how do we play the game of life together? Well, you pick who did it in which room with which item. So they say, Mrs. Plum did it in the library with the wrench. And the other person opens their book and they say, okay, how do you play the game? And they say, well, you pick an item, you roll the dice to see who goes first. And they look at each other and the person says it was Mrs. Plum in the library. And the other person says, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Are you the thimble or the boot? And they're like, let's roll the dice to figure out who goes first. The other person goes, what are you talking about? That's not how this game works. Now, usually this doesn't happen in the first few months or even year of a relationship, because we have this like, I've fallen in love with this other human being phase going on. So we're very open to allowing them to kind of just be themselves, and stuff that bugs us, we go, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's okay. It'll change later. They'll get back to the rules later. And we imagine things are going to change or update over time. In reality, after so long, that fades down, the dust settles, and we look at them and go, why do you constantly break these rules? But the truth is, we don't realize they're our rules. They're not their rules. And we don't even realize they have a whole different set of rules that we many times break. Lori says, sounds exactly like my current life. It's most people's lives, to be honest. And so one thing we've put together, and we're developing this conversation, and it's hence what I wanted to throw this out to. This is a good starter cue if you're in that position. So Lori, these questions today could be helpful. Is we're putting together a really simple retreat, and it's more like a vacation with a purpose, not so much a seminar where you're in the room all frickin' day, but it's a vacation where we're trying to put it together for later this year. And our thought is for new couples, people wanting to be in a lasting relationship. So that's very different than dating. This isn't a dating thing. This is like if you're at the end of your dating career or life and you're like, listen, I'm done freaking dating. I want someone and something that lasts. And I'm willing to go the distance, and I'm committed to going the distance. Or if you're newly in a relationship, just married, just engaged, something like that. Or if you need some renewal, you want to come back to that beginning when it was new. That's who this is for. And the simple conversation we're putting together is each day to pick a major topic of life: health, emotions, finance, business, relationships, spirituality, any of these topics. And we're going to sit down and help you through a process to define, what do you really value in this area of your life? What do you value in your health? What's most important to you in your health? What's most important to you in your fitness? What's most important to you in your diet? What's most important to you in these areas? Second, how do you know when you're congruent in these areas? How do you know when you're doing it right? How do you know when you're on track? How do you know when it's going well? How do you know when you're off track? How do you know when it's falling apart? How do you know when it's not what you want it to be? And as we define these things, and you can use this right now as a template. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it yourself. But help walk you through these processes and give you space during the day to do it. And the first step is helping each individual get to know themselves, their own rules, their own beliefs, their own values, their own guiding principles, and not just what they think, but how they actually live. There's a differentiation for most people, because we'll tell ourselves all these wonderful good things, and then how we live doesn't always match. Give you an example. I had a cousin who came with her husband, wonderful human being, and both amazing people. And he came down, and they had told us what their values were, and they said their values were God, family, making a difference, being a good person. Those were the values. And over a couple of days of conversation and thought, he finally came up on the side and he says, if I'm really honest, I do value those things up here in my head, but how I live day to day, I mean, it's just like work, then God, then family, then other stuff. And he's like, if that's reality, because I wake up in the morning thinking about work, I go to bed at night thinking about work, and all day I work. And he's like, I can't say that God comes first. In my heart it does, in my head it does, But in the way I live my life day to day, it's certainly not the first thing of priorities as far as my time investment or life investment. And he's like, and I just asked him, I said, what would be different in your life if you allowed it to come first? Not only up here in your head, but in your actions every day. And he said, honestly, I probably wouldn't be working as many hours every day. So what would you be doing? He said, I'd probably be doing some volunteer work, spending a little bit more time with my family, doing more things for the community. And he's like, because really, truly, that would feel like a better representation of what that means to me. It's like fascinating. And so lots and lots and lots of people have these little inner conflicts where they think one thing but do another in their life. And so this first big chunk we focus on is helping people figure out how to align that for themselves as a person. Then that comes the, crazy negotiation of if these two people are going to decide to be in relationship, to be a community or be a tribe or be connected together, the piece becomes, how do we help them negotiate a common thread that says, you have yours, I have mine. When we choose to be together, this becomes ours. We both agree that this comes first above all else. And so if you're watching this and you want to join us on that retreat, just email us or message us, and we'll put you on a list and send you information as it comes out. We're not sure on all the details yet. And if you have no care in the world to go on a retreat like that, the flip side is do it for yourself. Sit down with a pen and paper and write out the major categories of your life: health, emotions, family, relationships, business, finances, spiritual life, the major categories of your life. Write out those categories and figure out, what do you value most? What's most important to you in each category? And then ask yourself, what has to happen for you to be congruent with that value? Meaning, let's say you value success. So what has to happen for you to be successful or feel successful? Let's say you value happiness. What has to happen for you to feel happy or be happy? Write it all out for yourself. And as you do this, you'll start to see your beliefs, your values, your rules. Then have your partner do it. Have your significant other do it. And really spend some time sharing with each other and getting on the same page. I think that's kind of the name of the event, is let's get on the same page. That way you guys have a guiding set of principles and values that guide you in the relationship. So like Lori said, it's not two people trying to play the game of life with a whole different rule book, hoping the other person understands their rules when they don't. So that's just a thought. Hopefully this is useful. Going back to those questions, for those of you who just joined us, the two questions we talked about today is, number one, what are you committed to that no one else would actually know or think you are committed to? And what do people think you're committed to that you're actually not at all? And so if you scroll through the comments, you'll see a lot of different what people said of all these different parts of them. For me, I don't think people know or would guess that I'm committed to really having an unbelievable amount of inner peace. And I'm more committed to that than people think. And if stuff starts aggravating or stirring up random stuff around me that takes away that inner peace, I will move away from it or adjust the surroundings to get that peace back. I think my hallucination is I think people believe there's a part of me that's trying to be perfect in some way, shape, or form. But in reality, there's not an ounce of my body that even believes in that. I would rather go out and just be effective than try to be perfect in anything. And so that's more important to me. But it is what it is. If you have any questions, or hopefully this is useful to you too. I just thought it was some fun questions and a fun little outline I could throw out there for you. So if you happen to be in that position in relationships, these could be some good starters as far as topics and things to think about. So hopefully it's useful. And I think we have 3 or 4 more minutes before I'm going to jump to go hang out with them and help cook dinner. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you. While I'm waiting for questions, I'll take you on a little mini tour outside because it's really pretty here. Check this out. It's really peaceful here. I thought y'all might like to check that out. Let's see, a couple questions coming through. Oh. Let's plug this back in so we don't lose power. Hey, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Let's see. Bank says, what is your dream life to you? Sylvia says, breathtaking view. Isn't it pretty, Sylvia? It's really amazing. It's beautiful up here. I've never heard of this city before, but we came up here to stay with some friends. It's absolutely remarkable here. It's called Novato, 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 California. It's in Marin County, just outside of San Francisco. It's beautiful, beautiful, great weather, totally relaxing, nice and cool. Let's see. Bank says, what is your dream life to you? My dream life. Whoa! Wow.
Painting, right?
Yeah, and candles.
Yeah. That's happened before.
Whoops.
With the wind? Yeah, with the wind. With the wind. I'll be over in a second. Just dirty hands.
I can clean it up. Whoa.
You didn't do it. The wind did it.
That's okay. I'll still clean it up.
Had that happen before.
Yikes. We had a little bit of bill here. Sorry about that. Didn't see that coming. So my dream life, it's really simple. Bank, how I describe my dream life is really, really simple. I did a process a long time ago that instead of trying to like set goals and achieve stuff and thinking if I could just get results, that would be it, I worked backwards. And my thought was, how could I design my absolute ideal day? Meaning the type of day that was so simple that just living that day-to-day life would create passion, purpose, fulfillment, joy, serenity, service, and all the things that were important to me just by living that way, how I showed up, who I was, how I gave to people, how I talked to people, what was happening. And so my journey has been combing through and designing that simple day-to-day living and then making that reality. And that's a lot of what our book, Live It, is all about. Chapter 1 is how do you design your absolute ideal day. Chapters 2 through 11 is how to turn that day into reality based on my experience and thousands of our clients' experiences. And then chapter 12 is how to then magnify that vision into a 5, 10, 20-year vision. So that's how I defined my dream life, was living my ideal day each and every day. Bank says, what are they most passionate about? I missed when you were explaining it. So inner peace. Having that inner peace. Having that inner peace inside of myself is what I'm most passionate about. Lori says, can you address the whole concept of hallucination term? I've heard it several times, but I don't fully understand it. Great question. So Lori, what the hallucination term is, it's something in non-conflict free negotiation or conversation. So what happens is, if I believe you did something, or I think you think something, and I say, what you did there, or what I saw, or what I observed, or what I think you did, if I accuse you in any way, I'm putting you on the spot, which puts you in a defensive mode and makes you have to protect or stand up against what it is that's happening. If I take responsibility and I say, instead of, I think you did that and that's wrong, all of a sudden now you're put in a reactive mode and you're put in a defensive mode. Versus if I step back from my side and I say, my hallucination is, I think my hallucination is you did this, and I'm just curious if it's true. Now what's happening is, first, I'm taking responsibility. Second, not only am I taking responsibility for my hallucination, I'm also saying, my hallucination, I might be wrong. And I'm already admitting that up front so that you don't have to try to defend yourself. You don't have to take an opposition. You don't have to fight and push and pull with me or resist in any way. You can either affirm and say, that's not a hallucination, that's accurate, very accurate. Or you can say, that's totally a hallucination, and I don't know what you're smoking because that ain't true. and what it does is it defuses the resistance of a conversation, and it takes blame out of the conversation and allows me to own my side without putting any pressure or resistance into you or against you. Lori, I hope that makes sense. Elaine, did you make the ladies angry? The wind gods, maybe, because that's what blew down this beautiful portrait that's up here that came flying at me. Bank said, thank you for your answer, Jairek. That was awesome. Ellie, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I believe I have to go clean this up. So hopefully y'all have an amazing day. I want to show you this real quick because it's really pretty. Check this out. Isn't it neat? It's a really, really cool piece of art by this awesome artist. So I will end with a beautiful scenic view of the mountains. Hope you all have an amazing day and do something awesome. If you know someone who needs to have this kind of conversation with their loved one or significant other, please tag them or pass this along to them or share it with your community. We hope you have an amazing day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.